I just bought the polarpro trippler. So I've had a huge problem over the past couple of years with grip handles. The main problem is finding a jack of all trades, one that works well for me. This is the polarpro trippler. But let's just backtrack a second, which is going to require me to pick up those things. I'll explain. You see, all of these things are good in their own way, but they're all a little bit limited. And when you take them all, as I tend to do, they're a master of one, but not a jack of all. And that's kind of where the polarpro trippler comes in. I'll explain the shortcomings of all these things. This was the first one I've got, and I love this one because of how durable and rugged it is. The SP Gadgets grip tripod. Fairly self-explanatory. It's a tripod and it's a grip. Only problem with this thing is a bit of a limited reach with it. You know, like you can hold it on the tip like that, you know, and hold it out in your vlogging and stuff, but the camera is right there. Not a hell of a lot of reach. Still, good little grip, but limited. Then you got this thing, the SP Gadgets pole. With a bit more reach, but it's just a hand grip. Can't turn it into a tripod. So it's lacking there. And then you get what every Casey Neistat wannabe tells you to buy. This fucking thing that I wish I'd never bought. Joby Gorilla Pod. Look, it kind of does the job. It's kind of okay. You know, it'll do basically what you want it to do, but it's not without its own shortcomings. The worst thing about it, I think, is how big it is, how bulky, how unwieldy, and how uncomfortable. If you've got a camera on the end of this thing and you've got to hold this thing, you know, like you're holding that like it's a vlogging thing, pain in the arse. I mean, well, it's not a pain in the arse, it's a pain in the hand. I mean, holding this thing, just awkward. And like my camera, I quite often run it with this strap on here. And if I've got the strap and then I've got this big ass tripod hanging off the bottom of it, I mean, I know the Joby Gorilla Pods are not supposed to be big like a big tripod, but they're just still a pain. And these things, you know, once you splay them out like that and then you put them back, you can never really get them straight again. You know, and if you do, it takes you hours. And then when you use them, these things, they start popping off. You know, they don't last forever. Ball head's fine, no complaints with that. Quick release can sometimes be a bit of a nuisance, actually getting it mounted and unmounted onto the bottom of your camera. That comes with its own little sets of problems, especially when the underside of your camera has, you know, your port there for your SD card and battery and stuff. It's not perfect, and just like this thing here, it kind of lacks a little bit in the reach department sometimes. But mainly I hate how big and bulky and awkward feeling. Enter the polarpro trippler. This is a fairly new product. I bought this because I realized that it was actually the GoPro. There's a product called the Gopro Shorty. And I saw this product and I thought, ooh, that might be kind of helpful. The Gopro Shorty is basically a combination of this and this. It's got the tripod on the end, and it's got, you know, the twist grip thing here, and that is exactly what the GoPro Shorty is, and it's also what the polarpro trippler is. So it's got the extendable pole, which locks in place, and it's got the tripod as well. Now this tripod, it extends like a full, you know, 3 sections here. But you can actually make it even longer by loosening this here. And let me display out that tripod so you can see what's happening. So this part here is what these things fold on top of, but you can make it a little bit longer by doing that. And you can basically set this thing up as kind of like a tripod. I mean, this thing's like almost a meter above the ground now, if this was the ground. So it gives you an enormous amount of reach. It's got a ball head on the end of it, a little bit like a Joby Gorilla Pod. Let me turn this camera on. So that's the 15 to 45mm kit lens on that Canon EOS M6. And you know, with this thing fully extended, you get a huge amount of context now because this thing sends it, you know, way out there, which I think in the future is going to be kind of handy. But you know what I really love about this is it's basically a lot like this, just like this telescopic pole here. You know, you twist it, put it back in, tighten it back up. You got the little compact handle. You know, the ball head allows you to place that camera pretty much facing anywhere, and you've got a fairly sturdy grip. Now this grip, it's not quite as sturdy as the SP Gadget's grip. I mean, this thing here is solid as a rock, and this thing moves around a little bit. I don't know how I'm going to feel about that in the long term, but I am quite happy with, honestly, the fact that I think this is going to replace all of these. I can see that's what's going to happen. The other thing is that I'm trying to do my vlogging basically without relying on a gimbal. Gimbals are great. I love gimbals. I have a gimbal for my GoPros and for smartphone. I've wanted to get a Feiyu A1000 gimbal to use this Canon EOS M6 on. The problem with like the Feiyu gimbal and the Zhiyun crane, these larger gimbals that, you know, for mirrorless cameras and stuff, and for compacts and that, is that they start to become big and unwieldy. And like, this is already big enough. You can't put this in your pocket. This is already big enough for vlogging. You know, this basically has to go into a backpack, you know, when you're traveling around. You know, and this is not even with a microphone attached. I mean, if I'm doing serious vlogging with this thing, you know, it's going to have a microphone attached onto the side and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that the polarpro trippler is going to really help me out there with vlogging. And goodbye, Joby GorillaPod. May you rot in hell. I wish I'd never bought you. Fuck you, Joby GorillaPod. I hate you.